You don't have to be for women's rights. And if a woman is funny, and I'm sure you've read this because you've done your homework, if Hitler came back and was funny, David Letterman would say there's a whole new side to this man.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah. If this dog had 12 minutes, he'd be a star. Yeah.
Sexuality is often a common theme for female comedians.
And male too.
But do you think that there's a common claim that women or that you've made about sexuality?
I don't know. I never analyze. No. All I do is I bitch about everything. When my life is going well, my act is boring. So when terrible things happen, I go, oh, this will be good on stage. Thank God Michelle Obama wore that terrible dress at the inauguration. Oh, thank you, God. Thank you for putting on that horrible dress.
Do you feel your approach to comedy is different than a male counterpart?
I don't think about it. I know you're analyzing everything. I don't know. Woody Allen, who's a friend of mine, I once said to him one night, we were sitting around, I said, all right, what makes something funny? And he said, who cares? If they laugh, get on your knees and say, thank you, God, and go to the next joke.
I read that when you performed at the Duplex that you were compared often as the female Woody Allen.
Yeah, because we were starting at the same time.
And then you had a lot of the same mannerisms.
Well, that's because we were both New York and Jewish, so they thought we had the same mannerisms. You know what I mean? But it was wonderful because Woody was ahead of me, and so by saying she's a female Woody Allen, it was great. The Duplex filled up the next day. You know, so many little people there. Oh, okay. But he's so smart. But I love that he doesn't analyze. Richard Pryor didn't analyze. I'm just thinking of the great ones. George Carlin, on the other hand, every word was picked. You know, so everyone works so differently.
What is your process when you write your own material?
Usually, I do it orally for the most part. And that's why, to this day, I carry a tape recorder. Wherever I go, my act is audio taped. Because what comes out version is funny. I always don't know what I'm going to say when I go on stage. You know, is that, when you say, what's the question? How do you?
Well, what's your process when you write your comedy?
There is no process. I know if I'm angry about something, I'll walk on stage and talk about it. Then, how technical do you want to get? Then I pull it off. I listen to what I said, which came out right the first time. I pull it off, and I then try to embroider it and make it better, and then I'll say it again on stage. And it takes, to get little pieces, it takes weeks to get that. It really holds. Weeks.
In my class, we studied comedic archetypes and the 5 comedic postures of the kid, the bawd, the bitch, the whiner, and the reporter. And we classified you as being a whiner and bitch.
Yeah, whining bitch.
Do you agree with that?
Totally. Yes, whining bitch, no question about it. And I'm furious and fury. I ride on fury. I am very angry. And I think what got me in the beginning was I represented a lot of angry ladies. I represented a lot of girls that went to college and then said, what's wrong? Why isn't this working out the way it's supposed to work out? And so my act is just one screaming rage now. Whining rage.
Your comedy has sometimes been described as aggressive. And
yes.
in the yes. Bravo special, you mentioned that the only thing that was off limits in your comedy was your grandson.
And then I do a joke about it.
That's true. Are there any other subjects that you never joke about? Or is there anything off limits to you?
No. If I, again, here we go again. I don't know. I figure if I can say it, it's not off limits. Does that, and I don't know what I'm going to say. I talk about 9/11 a lot, and they still don't want to talk about it.
You talk about the Holocaust?
I talk about if Hitler came over. I say now my act is so bad. A lot of Jews get very upset. I say that when I was a little girl, I wrote him a letter, dear Mr. Hitler, I hope you don't come to this country, but if you do, because I talk about I hate my relatives, there is a family living in Newark, New Jersey. I give them my cousin's address. And the audience goes into shock. No, I think, but you gotta remember, what I use comedy for a lot, it's a wonderful way to remind people of things that really upset you. You know, and if you could talk about Anne Frank, who I say would have sold more books if she had had a nose job. I truly believe it. Because who would you? Anne Frank, my story, Anne Frank, my story, you're forever. So, and people get so upset, the audience. It really, it takes a breath. But I think comedy should be used to make something that's almost bearable and silly, because if it's silly, you can deal with it. And that's really what I use the Holocaust for, a lot.
Well, I think going off of that point, sometimes in that special you get some mixed reactions, and
Yes.
and you imitate them, and you say, "Oh, you've gone too far, Miss Rivers."
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you have gone too far?
Very seldom. But I do let them know. Sorry. But I do let them know. For example, I talk about how I hate blind people now. But my mother was going blind at the end, so I figured I had the right to say. So I talk about how stupid blind people have no chic. How can you wear those shoes? And that's kind of stuff. So I don't think you go too far. I don't know. I think anything you talk about, you just talk about.
Do you think that your humor changes from, doing a stand-up performance to being on a commercial to, having a cameo on a show
Yes.
like Nip Tuck? Like, how does it change?
Everything changes, and everything is a deal in our business. And the reason I've survived and become a comic icon is you gotta know there are rules to everything. There are rules to Nip Tuck, and there are different rules on Regis and Kelly, and there are different rules on Nightclub. And when they bring you in, the agreement is play by their rules, and don't go on the show. And you do change. Nip Tuck was an acting job. And so the comedy had to come out of truly the acting situation. Geico, the commercial, we knew we had to get the commercial across. So everything does change tremendously. I like stand-up the best because you can say anything.
Okay, you just answered my next question,
Yeah,
which is what you like the best.
It's the best. Because you can walk on a stage. Also, you're with them. When you're with an audience, even if you make a terrible mistake, and you do go too far, talking about, I don't know, I'm doing a whole rant now, how I hate children. And it just, because in a plane they are so disgusting. And I say my biggest, I hate Princess Diana the most now because she got rid of a lot of the landmines. And you feel the whole audience go, but, and sometimes you do go too far, and so I kind of took that out a little bit, but it'll probably go back in. But,
and you hate old people?
I hate old
ugly
people. I hate old people. I hate ugly people. Oh, yeah, I hate religious fanatics of any kind.
They deserve to be hated.
They deserve to be hated. And so do old people. I'm sorry. They are boring, and they don't have good stories. Who cares? Yeah, we heard it. But it's also fun to say. Also, you do call attention, as I said, when I talk about hating old people, you do call attention to be a little nicer to Grandma. It ain't her fault. Just sitting there.
So you've made jokes about how you hate the Clintons and the Bushes.
Hate them all.
How do you feel about the new administration, and how will you joke about the Obamas?
Of course, I've already started. I voted Democratic. I mean, you had to this election, there's no question. But, there was a wonderful comedian named Mort Saul who hated, I think it was the Eisenhower administration, I don't know, and became a giant, made people mad, made Time magazine cover, that kind of stuff. I mean, big time. And then he was so good, the Kennedys came and his career went down the tubes because there was nothing to laugh about. He got his wish, and that was the end of his career. So luckily I hate both sides.
Okay.
And Obama, she's going to make a mistake. She's already making mistakes clothing-wise. She's already. And they're so stupid now about the children. Should we send them to private school? Oh, stop it, of course. No question. Somebody said they're going to become elitists. I said they are elitists. It's the President of the United States family. It's not, Jenny from the the block.
What female comedian do you respect most today?
Sarah Silverman, who I really think is breaking ground. Really think is breaking ground. She's the only one I looked at and said, oh, okay. Because up to then you go, please. Kathy Griffin is good. Ellen is the luckiest dyke in the world. The luckiest. She's okay. They're all okay. But really good Sarah Silverman. Really good Sarah Silverman.
We watched her special, Jesus is Magic.
Oh, when she's at the end when she does this,
The dance.
she's so.
But there are a lot of similarities between your comedy and her.
Maybe that's why I like her. I think she's just hilarious, and not frightened to go anywhere. That's so important. You cannot have fear, because what you have to do is find the most fearful thing and make it funny. So should I do that? No, of course do that, because they're scared too.
And she's gotten some flack for some of the stuff she said.
Yeah, that's all good. If you want to be the grand old person in comedy, then you're not on top of it. Then you've lost your game. Then you're on the shelf. You know, the minute they say, oh, when everyone says, oh, I love you, I know I'm in trouble. I always like it when two people are very offended at the end of the show. Good.
I know you said you don't really think about it, but you are challenging the notion of gender by being a woman in a field that was predominantly
and still
dominated
is.
by men. How do you feel being a woman in that industry?
I love it. I just did a show in England, and it was one of the highlights of my life. And they had Prince Charles had a 60th birthday party. He could have, and it was called We Are Mutants, and he could invite anybody he wanted. They didn't have to come. He loves comedy, and they did a special, and the special was Billy Connolly, Robin Williams, Eric Idle. I don't know if you're a Monty Python fan. Eric Idle, John Cleese, those are Monty Python boys, and Joan Rivers. I stood there and I thought, this is very nice. Plus my dress was the prettiest. Yeah, it's great.
And how do you see your career, do you see it changing, or how do you see it progressing in the future?
It doesn't stop, thank God. But it doesn't stop because you don't let it stop. I mean, I have I have one show that's on the air now, a series, and another series that was just bought. So I'm doing 2 series this year, which is great. And my comedy is going, and it's going great. It's going great, thank God. But see, comedy, I fell into. All my friends are actresses and very beautiful. As they get older, they fade away. Comedy, as long as you can make them laugh, you can be 1,000 years old. It doesn't matter. It's such a gift from God. It's such a gift from God.
But you started out as an actress.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Did you want to continue acting?
Oh, and I still do. I just did a play for 3 months that I wrote. And I did in Scotland, and they went, we're going to bring here. Oh yeah, I love acting. But I found in the play, which I had written, so I could be so as the writing kind of I was constantly changing. I was getting very bored. Let's do something else here tonight. You see the actor's eyes getting very nervous. I shouldn't do that. But comedy, as long as you can make them laugh, they will come, and that's fabulous. So you can have your professional in your life. Where my friends that are actresses, they can't. They have to wait to the part.
Whereas you make your part.
You make your part. There's always 6 gay men that are going to want to come with us.
Well, those are all my
That's very
questions,
easy.
but thank you so much.
Did you get it all? Okay. Did you know about little Samantha?
I did not know about the dogs.
Did you know that I'm going to have third debut for Thanksgiving dinner? That's what everyone was at.
But your sister's name is Barbara.
My sister's name is Barbara.
She's an
a lawyer.
attorney. And your parents' names are
Liar
Beavers and Liar.
That's right.
And you moved to Larchmont.